Why do we play? For some, it's the thrill of the game. In their free time, they imagine playing their favorite course. For others, it's chasing the feeling when you knock in that impossible shot. They relive that moment in their mind. As for me, I love playing golf with my best friends. Getting out on a beautiful day and walking on a fantastic course while we joke with each other is perfection. Getting to experience Cody falling over with joy after making his first eagle, watching JP chip in from off the green, and seeing both the joy in his face as well as the incredulous dejection from Cody, knowing the game he thought he had in the bag is now lost to him. Watching them both hit magnificent drives and following it up with one of my own. This is what I play for. What about you? This is For the Record. Golf, the hardest game we love to play. These are the ramblings of three nerdy golfers.
Our continuing mission? Explore strange new swing techniques to seek out lower handicaps and awesome golf courses.
And to boldly swing where a safe layup would have been the smarter choice.
Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Record. We're super excited to talk a little bit about our golfing week this week. We also have a hot take on some breakfast burritos and some other nonsense to cover. And we're going to dive right in.
The almighty breakfast burrito.
I am a fan of breakfast burritos.
Have you read Off to Be a Wizard? They talk about how men love everything in burrito form. And I have to say that was like prophetic because it's so true. I have yet to meet a human being who doesn't love something in burrito form.
You take some delicious goodness, wrap it in a tortilla, and it just makes it better.
Well, and you get to carry it around. Cleanup is nice and easy.
The great Perry Grip is quoted to have said, "Yum yum breakfast burrito." He says that we should call a regular burrito a nighttime breakfast burrito.
A nighttime breakfast burrito.
Oh, I just realized who you're talking about. For those of you that don't know, Perry Grip is a child's songwriter.
Musician,
yeah. He's a musician that sings songs for children.
This would be why I've never heard of him, because I do not have children like the two of you, so I listen to music for grown-ups.
He bridges the gap pretty good.
He does.
And I gotta say, I cannot agree with him more. If I were to have a choice between a regular bean and cheese burrito and a breakfast burrito, I'm choosing breakfast burrito every single time.
If it's the morning, I'll eat a breakfast burrito.
See, and we sit on exact opposite sides of the scale there, because I loathe regular burritos. I can't stand refried beans. I'm not into that. But a breakfast burrito, bring it all day. Could eat one every day.
A common place that we go and get a breakfast burrito is Maverick.
It's Adventure's first stop.
It is. And they have decent breakfast burritos. Whether you're going to do just like the sausage, egg, and cheese, or you're going to do the country gravy breakfast burrito.
That takes the power ranking of the gas station burrito right there. That burrito's money. It's so good.
Then they've got the Moab, the mother of all burritos.
What's in that one?
Everything.
All of it.
It's all the meats. It's like sausage, ham, bacon, eggs, cheese, and hash browns.
They also have a chili verde burrito that's pretty good.
I haven't tried that one.
I'm gonna sneak
so
in.
Good. I love that one.
I'm gonna sneak on here and do an infomercial for you. Can't decide what kind of breakfast burrito you want today? Have a hankering for ham or perhaps some bacon, but you can't make up your mind? Don't sweat it. Just order the Moab burrito.
What would be on your ideal breakfast burrito?
I have my ideal breakfast burrito, and I'm going to do a shout out to Eric's wife, because Eric's wife makes the finest breakfast burrito on the planet, and no one else comes close. And it's a simple recipe. It's scrambled for mine. She makes them custom for me. She makes them custom for all of us. But my order's really, really simple. I just get a little bit of bacon, some scrambled eggs, a little bit of hash brown, wrap it up, cook it, and it's perfect.
Cheese.
Oh, and cheese. Colby Jack cheese. But I will tell you what makes that burrito spectacular. It's not just the loving hands that prepared it, but we cook these wrapped in foil in a campfire when we go camping, and it gets this crunchy outer layer on it, so it's hot and steamy inside and crunchy on the outside, even with a little bit of black char just on the very, very ends. There is no beating that. Dip it in some nice cold ketchup. Mm-hmm. Oh, This is my happy place. Those are so good. We need to go camping.
Okay, what about you, Eric? What's on your ideal burrito of choice? And yes, I agree. Your wife makes an amazing breakfast burrito, but what are your toppings?
For me, it is a nice bit of cheese, of course. I mean, you got to have cheese. And I'll mix the cheese. I'll do cheddar and Colby Jack maybe and some mozzarella, all those in there. Eggs, of course, hash browns. If not hash browns, at the very least, like potato wedges, I think are a good substitute. Mm-hmm. I need something in there to make it less dry, though. I know you like to dip in the ketchup, and that'll work, but I like to have something in there. So I would like salsa, some peppers in there, something to add a little bit more flavor, spice it up a little bit.
I can get behind that. I would try any of those burritos, but if I were building my burrito of choice, I'm starting with sausage. I'm adding in some eggs.
It's a strong choice.
And cheese. Probably some pepper jack and some cheddar. I like a little bit of kick. I can live without the bacon unless it's really good bacon, but I can live without it, and I can live without the ham. Honestly, I go back and forth on potato or no potato. Maybe a little potato if they're good hash browns, or kind of like those breakfast potatoes that are like chopped up and cooked like on a skillet. Maybe a little bit of those.
I think hash browns are the play in a breakfast burrito because they're nice and crispy.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you, potatoes are an interesting take because they can be done so well in a breakfast burrito, but the issue is about distribution. If you get a little bit of potato in a bite, it's pleasant. It bulks out it, so you don't have to waste as many eggs now that they cost, a small mint. But every once in a while, I'll get a gas station burrito that has been made without the loving hands, and all of the hash browns are on one side and all the eggs are on the other, and that's a fail. That does not work.
Or it's all potato.
And then all the sauce right at the bottom. So you're dry as a bone until you get to the
last. Eating potato for like 5 minutes while you get through it is so hard. So that's a fail.
I like a saucy burrito. I like to have, it doesn't need to be drenched in sauce, but like a chili verde would be really good.
I've had those at Maverick that have been good. But there was one that we got at a Maverick on our guys trip on the way back. I picked it up and there was like the hint of chili verde, but it was so dry.
See, and I'm going to take my ideal breakfast burrito one step further with the idea of the breakfast enchilada. So you take that sausage, egg, and cheese, potato, wrap it all up in a tortilla, put it in a pan, and smother it with country gravy.
No, I'm calling foul because that's not a burrito. That's an enchilada.
An enchilada is in the burrito family.
It is, yeah. That's the same thing as saying Eric and his wife are in the same family, but they're not the same person. A burrito is a different... If you can't pick up the burrito in one hand and do something with the other hand, it ain't a burrito, my friend.
Can I get a ruling on this?
Here is an idea that I think is great. Sell a breakfast burrito as part of your entry fee into a golf course. If you're like the first tee time, I think that'd be a winner. Like, oh yeah, here's our menu, pick one. Oh, that'd be so nice.
All the tee times before 10 a.m., get a breakfast burrito on your way out the door.
Yeah, not smothered in gravy, because you're not eating a burrito smothered in gravy with one hand while you're driving a car with the other.
I'd like a smothered burrito, but
No, it's a fail. What are your thoughts on chorizo?
I don't like chorizo.
You don't, Eric, chorizo?
I don't know if I've ever tried chorizo, to be perfectly honest.
Man, I love a chorizo burrito if I don't have anything else to do that day.
You probably got 6 to 8 hours.
All right, next we have The Slice is Right. Over to you, John Paul.
All right, I'm in charge of The Slice is Right this week, and I have a trivia challenge. Now, I have taken a lot of the subjectivity out of this by grasping these beautiful D20s, which I borrowed from Eric, and I have 3 D20s in my hand. Now, what we're going to do is I also have on my phone in front of me the official World Golf Rankings.
Oh, no.
We are going to play a game where I will say the last name of a golfer that is on the World Golfer Rankings, and you will take turns trying to determine what the first name is of this golfer, 1 point for each correct one. Now, because I've got 3 D20s, I am going to adjust this with a handicap because, and please don't take this the wrong way, Cody watches a lot more sports than Eric watches.
I don't watch any sports.
Precisely.
And it's a low barrier, man.
I know you know some golfers, so this is what I'm going to do. Presumably,
I could name you on one hand the number of professional sports player.
I bet you know more.
I'll think you'll do better than you think. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to roll 3 D20s and combine the totals to give me the number down the list when it's Cody's turn, but I will only roll 2 dice when it is time for Eric. So presumably you will be in the upper echelons with the more well-known golfers, and Cody will be... Now, mathematically, it would be impossible for me to roll Scotty Scheffler. So you get Scotty for free because he's 1, and I can't possibly roll a 1 with D20s.
Cody, to interject something here really quick. So we played this game when we recorded it, and Eric was a fantastic sport, but unfortunately, John Paul and I forgot one key element, and that is...
I don't follow sports.
So here's how pretty much all of Eric's answers sounded.
No idea. Nothing. I have no idea. No clue. Nothing.
So we decided to give it a redo and Eric act as the host and pit me against John Paul. And this is kind of the result of that.
So we're going to switch it up this time. We're going to have John Paul against Cody because we tried it with Cody against Eric and it was a shutout because I don't follow sports.
Okay, here we go.
That was a terrible roll.
On the table.
Went off. 25. Give me golf for 25.
Rye?
That would be Aaron Rye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He wears 2 gloves. He's very memorable.
23.
Connors.
Corey.
Yeah.
Point for John Paul, point for me.
Do 36.
McCarthy.
Matt.
No.
Not Matt?
Scott.
Denny.
Danny.
Oh, Danny McCarthy. That's
a chance for me to take the lead.
Okay, go ahead.
47.
Harmon.
Heath.
Brian?
Yes.
Sadly, it was not my turn. All right, here we go. 40?
Grazerman?
Grazerman? I got nothing.
Cody?
No, I got nothing.
Max.
Hey, last roll. See if I can pull ahead because we're 1-1. 19 plus 6, 25, which I believe we already did. So do
Reroll one of those.
32.
Finau.
Tony!
Oh, that's show.
Oh, yeah!
That is just bad rolling on my part. It's rotten luck.
Woo!
All right, I'm going to look through this list real quick.
Quick fire me some names. Just pick a random group of 5 names and quick fire them. Let's see how we can do them quick fire.
Aberg.
Ludwig.
Hatton.
Turl, I think is how they pronounce it.
Glover.
Lucas. It's Glover.
Bezuidenhout.
Oh, nobody knows how to say his name. Even the NBC guys don't know how to say it.
Bezuidenhout.
I don't remember his first name. Nicholas, maybe?
Christian.
That's right, Christian.
Perez.
Fat.
Oh, I wish. He's one I know.
Is it Jamie?
No. Victor
Perez.
Victor Perez.
I've heard that, yeah. Okay.
Give us one more.
Wallace.
William. Just kidding. Patrick.
Matt
Wallace. I was hoping we'd get Brian.
Okay, I'll do one in the top 50.
Where were you on the list?
80.
Oh, gosh. This is no wonder we don't know them.
Oh, I found another French one. Pavillon. Or Pavin.
Jacques.
No. No. Mathieu. It's a very French name. Another very French name is Jean-Baptiste. There's a million Jean-Baptistes.
All right, I know we're done with this, but I'm going to start with 8 and move down. Hovland.
Victor.
Henley.
Michael.
Russell. Matsuyama.
Hideki.
Thomas.
Justin.
Fleetwood.
Tony.
Tommy. Clark.
Wyndham.
Yeah, you got it. Straka.
John.
Sepp. Last one. Cantley.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Next up is an on-course update. These will start being more regular on each episode as the golf season is in full swing. Let's see how things went this past week. One of the things that we thought would help our golf game was dedicating additional time and efforts to our practicing and talking about it and having it more on the mind. If today is any indicator of that, we are dead wrong.
Yeah.
We went out on the course and we walked. To be fair, it was in about 15 to 20 mile an hour winds with gusts that were a bit higher. So it was tough conditions, but I don't think any of us did very well.
Well, before we dive into it, because it was a disappointing round, I think, for all three of us, but you have to put perspective on it that A, it is the first scoring round of the season at our home course. And we played a scoring round at an executive course that our course, our home course, holds. If you can hold a handicap at our home course, it will travel. That is a challenging course. It's one of the reasons why we like it. It's quite hard. But in the winds, with the number of trees on that course, it is punishing. And so I don't...
Particularly on the front nine.
Yeah, I don't feel like we should be particularly ashamed about it. And on that note, it's quite funny because they offered us we could go out the front nine and the back nine. And we looked at each other, we were like, with these winds, we can't do the back nines because there's not nearly as many trees. But you don't think about that. Of course, they're going to be affected less by the wind on the front nine because the trees protect you from the wind. But then you blow into the trees.
Yep.
There's, at least if you're blowing off course on the back nine, there's not going to be a tree in your way every single time you hit the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured what we could do is maybe pick a couple of holes to highlight.
How about best hole, worst hole?
Should we pick the
Best
hardest
worst
hole?
I like best hole, worst hole. So my round total today, playing on our home course in the wind with a par 36, I scored a 55. And it's not my finest hour, but best hole was our hole number 6. It's a par 4. You tee off in kind of this mini little grove of trees. The trees aren't really any trouble unless the tee box is a bit further back. Today it was in a decent position. I don't know what I did, but I must have just hit it very toey with a very weak grip because my driver, it shot out and then straight right, but it wasn't my normal banana peel Donkey Kong slice. It was kind of this little piddly, and then just kept going right and right and right. It went so far right that I actually had a clear shot onto the green from the clearing of dead grass that I had to hit off of. But I say it's one of my best holes because my second shot was a 7-iron that I hit to right on the back of the green. And then just a couple of putts later, I ended up with a bogey. A bogey was my best hole of the round today. Now, the worst hole was a couple holes later on hole 8, also a par 4. And at that time, like the wind was just beating on us all day, and I was just feeling pretty tired. So I just took my driver, and I was like, I'm just going to hit this. And I actually hit a decent drive, went just right enough that it hit one of those trees that we talked about, bounced back 30 yards towards us. From there, I had tree trouble, so I was like, okay, I always hit a banana peel DK slice if I try and go for it, so I'm going to go for it with one of my irons and try and bend it around, and that thing went straight as an arrow. So I kind of just did this ping pong, and then to add insult to injury, I had to 3-putt. So I scored a snowman on that hole.
That sounds depressing.
You sound so empathetic.
Mm-hmm. I'm crushed. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, so my score for the round was 59. My best hole was the first hole. I hit a decent drive, rolled out pretty nicely. I hit a decent second shot. It was just left of the green. No, just right of the green. And then I chipped on. The greens were unreceptive, so it rolled off. And I chipped back on and then rolled it in for a bogey. My worst hole was hole 3. And that was because I hooked it to the left, and there just happened to be a net there that we didn't know was there. So I had to shoot under a net, and it landed behind a tree, and there was no shot to go forward. I had to shoot back, and then I shot out backwards, and from there I got onto the green and then 3-putted, and so I ended up with a snowman. Or no, I ended up with a 9.
Can we just take a pause, though? Where you had to hit under that net, that net is new. I don't know what it is doing there. They must be doing, they have some plans for that area to do something with it. But when I saw your shot under that net, you hit a fantastic shot. It just ended right behind the tree, but you had maybe a 4-foot clearance that you were chipping back from and hit it right under it. That was a great shot.
What does that net protect?
There's a putting green right there, and I don't know why it's there.
In the middle of the course?
I don't understand it.
Have you ever seen Star Trek 4 where they park the Klingon bird of prey in the middle of the park. Do you think there's a cloaked alien spacecraft being protected by that net?
Must be something.
Well, if there was, then why didn't his golf ball hit it?
I don't know. There's nothing there. There's no reason to have a net over there.
I will say that your clearance from that hitting past that net, I was very impressed with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You pulled off that 5-wood shot. That was good.
My 5-wood is on fire again this week.
I had a pretty hard round. My total score is a 51. Been a while since I golfed over 50, but there it is. I'm going to say my best hole was the third hole, even though it wasn't my best score, because I hit a really horrendous drive. I toe hooked it, not quite as far over as Eric did. So I hit a glorious punch through the trees with a 5-iron, and it skated just exactly like I was hoping. It hooked it just as I was hoping, but it just didn't quite hold the green. I did get a bogey. I got up and down for bogey from there. So it was a good hole, but not my best score of the day. My worst hole of the day, consequently, also isn't my worst score of the day, but I'm going to say it was the 9th hole. And the reason being is because, as is well documented, my neck is in bad shape, and I thought it wasn't going to be too bad, and it hurt pretty badly today. But the wheels came off about hole 5, and it just started to hurt worse and worse and worse. And by the time I got to the 9th hole, holding my head up was agony. And so I got to that the last hole is a par 3. I made really poor contact with a 6-iron, didn't get it anywhere near it. Had to hit a chip shot, which went over the back, which is dead on that hole. Chipped it back off the front of the green, then chipped up, and I took a 6 on that hole as a par 3, but it was just demoralizing because I was in so much pain. And like I had a 3-footer to save triple bogey, and just over that ball, I was just like, ugh! I was in so much pain. I was so glad for it to be over. But
scores aside, I'm curious what your takeaways were of the round, because I will say that I only hit one good drive, and that's been a problem for me. Like when we played our little free practice round before we could score, and at the executive, I was having a little bit of problems with my driver, but today it was a different problem than I've had. But consistently across all the rounds since we've started playing on actual grass, making solid iron contact and not thinning everything is something I have to figure out.
Yep.
You're not wrong. I will give a compliment to Eric because it was kind of a struggle out there with the wind and the trees, and you got some pretty poor lies. Your mental game was very strong today.
It was.
You did not let it get you down at any point. You stayed in the game the whole time. You just kept moving on to the next shot. You had very good mental prowess. We did have to use the shark repellent spray call out on Cody.
Just because somebody took his ball.
He believes somebody stole his ball on the par 5.
It's not he believes. It was pretty obvious.
It seems that somebody stole his ball.
It was very obvious.
There is no question in my mind. Those two holes run parallel to each other. We go out, and then we come back the other way. The group behind us, when we hit on the second hole that comes back, right where my ball should have been, was their grouping of balls, and they all hit and drove off, and I was like, sweet, there's a ball left. That's got to be mine. And it wasn't.
They didn't even check theirs. They just walked up and hit.
And here's what I've learned from that. What I've learned is that if we get late in the season and the competition becomes tight, I just need to find an excuse to talk with the group either in front of us or behind us and slip them a $5 to steal your ball, and the rest of your round will be destroyed.
You're Shooter McGavin?
It really would work.
He's the bad guy.
It would work. You
the other
would never
time,
recover.
There was one time that somebody touched John Paul's ball, and you freaked out at them. You yelled at them, and then they're like, "Your ball's right here."
And they dropped it. It was so funny. You were fuming.
The thing is, we played that same hole before, and I hit a wayward shot, and then I hit a provisional, and I was like, I'll go get that one when we walk back because it's parallel to it. And then the group behind us took our ball again, and I walked up to him and was like, hey, did you take my ball? No, I didn't take it. And I was like, really, a TaylorMade TP5X with Pac-Man on the front that's in your hand that I can see? And he went, oh, okay, I guess it is. And then he threw it back to me, and I was like, dude, not cool.
It's Cody's pet peeve.
I looked over at you after that today, and I was thinking of Hades. I was expecting you to turn to me and say, is my hair out?
Hey, I took it in stride. It took me a minute because Eric even said, hey, Cody, shark repellent. And then I didn't say anything.
No, you did not.
And then as we started walking, he's like, hey, you didn't say the thing. And I said, I'm calming down first so that I can respond appropriately. And then he went, okay.
I didn't hear that.
I didn't realize
and I came up afterwards when we got to the next tee box, and I was like, Cody, shark repellent spray. And you said nothing. And so I was going to go over and walk over to Eric, and I was like, he didn't reply. We need to keep our distance. And then you barked back. You're like, Chicago's do nothing. And I was like, oh, good. I was hoping you would say that. And then you were like, can a guy write his score down? I was like, well, yeah, but answer first.
We were walking down. I was letting the walk to the next tee box calm my nerves. And then when we got to the tee box, I wanted to write my score for the previous round. And then I figured I would be in a state to properly give it. Because here's what I feel. If we're going to have this 2-part phrase and you just bark back the response, that is not helpful. You've got to acknowledge that there is a change that you're willing to go through. And those last 2 holes after that, I felt much more pleasant.
That's fair. And you were much more pleasant.
And I'm normally a pleasant guy. Don't touch my balls.
Fair.
Birdie Bev, time for another Birdie Bev. All right, it's time for another Birdie Bev. And today we've got a Bundaberg non-diet root beer. So this is a regular one. And Bundaberg, I've always seen around. They're the ones that have the fancy bottle with kind of the pull tab top. I think they're from Australia.
Bundaberg, really? It sounds like Wunderbar, which is German.
Product of Australia.
Yeah, I saw
well, it's got a kangaroo right on the front of it.
I saw on a subreddit about
there are no German kangaroos.
Not buying US. They bought that.
Yeah, craft brewed over 3 days, it says. I will say, compared to the last episode, we reviewed the Caldera, which ended up being amazing root beer, especially for the number of calories it gave you. This has over 3 times that amount.
Okay.
So
Noted. I can feel my feet falling off.
Giving it a smell.
Now we make the chink.
Pretty good smell. I'm not sure what to make of that. I like it. It's,
it's not a traditional root beer.
One of the words that we use a lot when we're talking about our root beers is it offensive? It's not offensive, but the Caldera, which has literally a third of the amount of sugar, is better.
I think what's hitting me more than this, I was kind of expecting it to be overwhelmingly sweet with the amount of sweetener that's in it, with the amount of sugar that's in it. But what I'm getting is acid. Like, I'm getting a lot of acid off.
I'm getting the anise. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, there's some star anise in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm mostly getting. Or licorice or something.
Caramely, but it's really acidic.
Yeah, so in their root beer brew, I'm looking at the label now, they've got molasses, ginger root, sarsaparilla root,
molasses.
And then there's the licorice root extract, Eric. That's probably what you're getting.
Yeah.
And then shortly after the caramel color is the citric acid.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of acid.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I don't know if I saw this on the shelf amongst a wall of root beers, if it would be like my first go-to.
If you were a huge fan of ginger beer, this is a nice in-between between a ginger beer and a root beer.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm going to have to ask my wife. My wife loves ginger beer. So we track down root beers. She tracks down ginger beers wherever we go. So I'll have to have her try this one and see what she thinks.
This is definitely on the non-diet scale. So we got to place this on a non-diet scale. I don't think it's going to rank that high for me. I'm going to give it a 6.
I was just thinking 6.
I was thinking 5 or 6, so I'll go with 6 as well. 6 across the board.
6 across the board.
Oh no, 666.
That's ominous.
That's not Bundaberg.
Okay, yeah.
Bundaberg.
I mean, it's not bad. It's different, and it's not rich, is what I would say. There's no flavor that you're like, ooh, that's good. Like, it's just okay. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's fine. I find myself disappointed in it, and I'll tell you why. When you've got that much sugar to play with, that's like having a star franchise quarterback and not making the playoffs. Like, somehow it's worse. Like, if you have a terrible quarterback and you don't make the playoffs, we can forgive you. So if there's a diet root beer that just really isn't that good, I forgive it because it's doing it with, like, I don't know, chlorine.
It's like getting a premium cut of meat that's unseasoned.
Yeah, or like buying a filet mignon that's nothing but gristle. It's just disappointing.
You're just saying that because you're a Steelers fan.
Well, we had 2 good quarterbacks, and now we have 0 good quarterbacks. So I don't know.
Yeah, 6 seems about right for this guy.
Yeah, I think a 6.
So I have another mulligan moment I want to discuss with you guys, because in our last episode, we talked about caddying for each other. And we came up with a pretty good plan of how we're going to do that. And I just pictured in my head us walking down the course with one of us acting as kind of the other player's caddy. And I was just kind of like, man, we're just pretending. Like, all we're doing is just pretend play. And then it hit me that all we're doing is professional golf cosplaying.
All right.
It's becoming a bit more mainstream. You go to any sort of like convention and people spend a lot of time and effort into their cosplays, and some people make it their profession.
Did you ever see that news story about the guy that was LARPing and pretending to be like a healer or something, and they found a dead body? Have you not seen that?
No.
It's so funny because he's like, I tried to cast healing, but of course it didn't work because the body didn't have a head.
Oh, gosh.
And it's on national TV. It's like, it's a live thing. It's so funny to watch.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go back on what you're saying, because if we're making LARPing a thing, like cosplaying, dressing up as though we...
Let's use cosplay. Let's not call it LARPing.
Okay, so we're cosplaying about golf, right? And saying we're cosplaying golf. I'm going to argue every weekend warrior is cosplaying golf.
And it's not even golf. You see those guys walking around with their NFL jerseys or their basketball jerseys that are repping their brand.
It's the same thing.
They're just cosplaying as a professional athlete.
Don't throw shade at the nerds for dressing up as Doctor Who when you're trying to look like Rory McIlroy or
LeBron James or Stephen Curry, which I'm okay with all of it. I'm just saying that when we go out on the course, and no one will probably notice, but if someone happens to just see one random dude walking without clubs that's trying to like read greens, it would look a little bit awkward. And it's like, hey, we're just having a good time, and none of us are really great at golf, but we're going to pretend to be.
I am just waiting to come across the first weekend hacker wearing Sunday red. Haven't seen one yet, but I've got some zingers in the chamber. I, of course, would never say it to their face because that would be hurtful and mean. Instead, I'll do the cowardly thing and make fun of them behind their back. But I know pretty much what I'm going to say when that time comes.
Hey, people can rep the brands that they want. I just wanted to pull that out as a quick, just notice that we might look a little bit awkward and, we're doing a little professional golf cosplay, but it is an acceptable practice amongst all kind of genre of sports or interests or hobbies.
Sure.
Agreed.
And for those of anybody in our audience who happens to have children, this is the great secret of all parents everywhere that we don't want them to know, is that children assume that we had some threshold that we crossed when we became adults, when we were blessed with wisdom and responsibility and all of those things. What children don't understand is that all of us adults are still children that are just faking it.
Adulting is hard.
It is. We're just, I'm just trying to get away with it.
All right. Thanks for listening to For the Record. Feel free to follow us on our Instagram or Blue Sky and listen to us wherever we have fine podcasts.
Don't forget to check us out on our website, foretherecord.com, F-O-R-E, therecord.com.
And we would really appreciate it if you would like this episode, and if you're on a various podcast platform, if you could leave a review, that would be very helpful.
Like, comment, and subscribe.